Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars and welcome to another PlayStation review. Today I'm taking a look at Star Wars Jedi Survivor, the sequel to the hugely successful Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order that came out several years ago. Now, I did touch upon in my first impressions video that when Jedi Fallen Order came out a few years ago, we were all, myself included, expecting the game to be the usual EA mess of a game in regards to Star Wars. We thought it was going to be chock full of microtransactions, all sorts of ways to kind of make money off us, and we were all massively, pleasantly surprised even, that the game turned out to be exactly what it was sold, in a sense of a single-player Star Wars adventure. And it was actually a massive success on a lot of different fronts, because at the time when this came out, you know, there was a lot of debate going on within the games industry by people like EA and other companies, you know, trying to fool everybody into thinking that live service games are the way to go, all this kind of stuff. And the, you know, almost like the single player gaming experience was dying a death. And games like this and God of War and the Marvel Spider-Man have shown games companies that in actual fact there is a massive market out there for single-player gaming adventures, and they can be massively successful for games companies if they will put the time and effort into them, which is exactly what EA did and Respawn with the first Jedi Fallen Order game. It was massively successful. I really enjoyed it, so I was definitely looking forward to checking out the sequel. Now, Jedi Survivor is set about 5 years after the events of the first game. Cal Kestis is now a bit more of a veteran when it comes to being a Jedi. He's more powerful than he was in the first game, so you don't have to worry when you're playing this about, you know, collecting powers and things like that. While there is skill trees and things you can add to your force and stuff like that, you start this game far more powerfully than you did in the first game, for example. So you feel right from the off like a real Jedi in this game, far more powerful than Jedi Fallen Order, which is a really nice place to start. And in regards to the story here, and I don't want to go into too much of the story here, but I would like to say that I do think the story is very, very good. I thought the story in the first game was very, very good. I think the voice acting and the motion capture and everything is absolutely brilliant. It's really, really top quality stuff. And the story here is actually really quite engrossing and enthralling, and it feels like a real Star Wars adventure. There's familiar faces, there's new faces. It really does keep you kind of gripped throughout, and it's a very, very good story. So if you're wanting to find out yourself what the story's like, then obviously I would suggest playing the game, because I will give you no spoilers on this channel. The game essentially is the very definition of a sequel to a popular game, in a sense of it's bigger and better. Now that might sound like a cliche these days, and to some degree it certainly is. But they knew what they got right in the first game, Respawn with this game, with the first game, and they've basically gone in bigger this time. Everything about this game is bigger and better, depending on, I suppose, what kind of gamer you are. You know what I mean? The customization options, for example, in this game are far more vast than they were in the first game. In the first game, you know, in regards to Cal Kestis, you could, you know, change his poncho really, and you know, you could alter his lightsaber a little bit and a few colours here and there, but it was quite limited in regards to the customizational options. Not so in this one. It's pretty endless here. You can change every aspect of Cal's outfit this time round. You know, his jackets, his shirts, his pants, his hair, his beard, and you can, you know, pretty much change them on the fly, sort of thing. And it's really, really welcome. It makes him look and feel more grown up as well. And you can really create the Cal Kestis that you want to create, but also the customizational options are there for the lightsaber as well, but in far more detail than the first game. And obviously BD1 as well. You can alter and change his appearance in far more detail than you could in the first. So the customizational options here, I think, are really, really fabulous, and really do add a new element to the game. The game is far more open world than the first game. It is still it's not what you would describe as like fully open world, but for example, most of the planets that you go on, they are bigger and more vast, more reasons to explore, because you want to find more chests, you want to find more treasure, because there's loads more things to find in the world now, not just the chests, but there's like treasure you can find that you can trade in at the shops, because you've got like your own like little hub that you can go back to and upgrade and change. You can change the garden upstairs. You can go into shops and buy new things to, like that you can customize and all that kind of stuff. So it feels almost like you've got a home to go back to here that you can continually improve, sort of thing. It's not, don't get too excited. It's not, Fallout 4 type stuff in a sense of, you can build your own base and things like that. But it's a nice touch. It adds a little bit of, somewhere to go and chill and chat to your friends and all this kind of stuff. And it's just really, really welcome. So the planets that you go to are far bigger. Then there's far more reasons to explore on these planets. I'm still not a big fan of the map here. I wasn't a big fan in the first game, and if you're not a fan of how the map worked in the first game, you press the button and it's like this 3D map that pops up. It's the same thing here. I wasn't keen on it then, and I'm not particularly keen on it now. It serves a purpose, but it's just not that good, I don't think. Thankfully, this time round as well, they have given us fast travel option. I mean, that was really frustrating in the first game. The fact that you just have to keep, you had to keep kind of going back on yourself, and you got sick of going to the same places and backtracking on yourself, and it just got really boring, especially if you're fighting the same enemies. Because when you meditate in this game, if you have to heal yourself and stuff, then the enemies respawn, very much like the first game. So the fast travel option is much. It's very thankful, I have to say, and you can only fast travel to meditation points. So once you find a meditation point and you meditate there, it opens up as like a fast travel point. But it just does make the game a lot easier. This time round as well, you've got a couple of companions to go on the journeys with you. So you've got, your usual crew in the Mantis, but you've got a couple of one familiar face who could become a companion that you'll recognise from the first game, and a new character added this time round, and they join you on some of the quests that you go on, and they add a new layer in regards to the combat. Because they'll kind of do like double moves with you and things like that. It's nothing extraordinary, and you've seen it done better in other games, but again, it just adds something new to the game, and it doesn't necessarily feel as lonely this time round playing the game as it did in the first game. You do have a little bit of company on some of the missions, which is very, very welcome. Now, the environmental puzzles. Okay, now I'm not really sure. For me, I'm not a massive fan of the environmental puzzles in this game, and I wasn't in the first game. You know what I mean? If I want to play games like that, then I'll play, Uncharted and what have you. Like, it just doesn't. I don't think. I think I'm not a fan of environmental puzzles. I'm not really sure how else to put it. This time round, they've just gone big on the environmental puzzles. It's almost like, you remember Batman Arkham Knight, and everybody complained about the Batmobile, because they just went overboard with the environmental puzzles using the Batmobile. So this time round, there's lots of climbing and things like that, but there's other ways to travel around as well. Like you've got beasts you can tame, you've got beasts that you can grab hold of that'll fly you to different locations. So you've got to kind of figure out how to get from A to B and solve these environmental puzzles. And for me, they take up far too much time. It's not that I'm saying they're difficult, because I don't think necessarily they all are. They're just time consuming, where I feel my time would be better served doing something more exciting, like the fighting and the combat with the lightsaber, which is essentially, let's be honest, what we all want to be doing in a Jedi game. So it just depends really. If you're not a fan of environmental puzzles, just be warned, there's a lot of them here. And again, they've gone big on that. There's more of them this time round, so if that's not your bag, then that might be something for you to consider. Now, the combat, I think, is excellent. I mean, some people felt it was a little bit hit and miss in the first game. It's never easy, I don't think, to get lightsabers right in games, and I think they've done a pretty good job here. I really like it. There's quite a few bosses, a few different enemies, some old, some new, and it's a lot of fun to play. I really like the combat, and they've really improved, I think, in certain areas of the combat. And what I mean by that is now you've got a number of different stances. So you've got like a single lightsaber you could use. You've got the double lightsaber, which is essentially what we had in the first game. And then you've got a dual wield, so you've got two lightsabers. Then you've got the blaster stance, which is a lightsaber and you get given a blaster, so you can kind of do ranged attacks. And you've got like a crossguard stance, which is like the lightsaber that they use in the most modern Star Wars is for the most modern Star Wars films that we've all sort of seen. So it really is welcome, and it helps you decide what kind of gamer are you, what kind of stance do you want to use in the game. It just depends what kind of player that you are. Do you want to strike fast sort of thing, or are you happy to kind of hit them hard with the crossguard, which is like a broadsword type of lightsaber? It just depends really on what type of gamer of you. The skill trees here are much improved on, whereas last time it was kind of a light touch skill tree. This time it's much bigger. There's 3 sections of the skill tree. You've got survival, you've got lightsaber, you've got force, and each of them have got quite a few skills that you can add in. You've got perks this time round. So you can you pick up perks as you go around on the map sort of thing, and they'll give you like a different edge. And a perk, for example, could be that you get more experience from killing enemies, and you've got like perk slots, and some perks will just use 1 slot, some perks 2, some perks 3, depending on the effectiveness and of the perk themselves. So it's in every single area here. I think they have made an attempt to improve upon the first. In some areas, I think it's not necessarily worked. Like I say, the environmental puzzles, I would have preferred maybe if they'd have scaled back on them, if I'm honest. But some players may be really, really happy with the environmental puzzles and how they've changed them. Now, in regards to performance, I know this game has been getting a lot of flack for its the state it's been released on PC. Obviously, this is PlayStation 5, so I can't comment on that. But from my experience playing it on my PlayStation 5, while I have had a number of crashes, performance-wise, I can't honestly say I had major issues, but I'm quite a tolerant gamer. Yes, sometimes some of the animations don't look great when he's running, the hair looks a bit dodgy and the frame rate drops here and there, but like I say, I'm quite a tolerant gamer. Your mileage may vary depending on how much you like, how frustrated you get is what I'm trying to say in regards to playing games. I know my son, who has got this game, has found some issues with his. He plays it on like a big 4K TV, and it looks kind of blurry, and he's tried all the options on his TV and the game to try and alter that, but it's not really made any difference, and it still looks really, really kind of blurry, which is a little bit odd and doesn't make an awful lot of sense, but that's his experience on it. But still, he's playing the game sort of thing and still enjoying it. He just isn't great, I suppose. So performance-wise, I suspect some people will have issue with this on PlayStation 5. I'm reasonably happy with it, and overall, I have to say, I am reasonably happy with the game. I think it's a good sequel. It's gone bigger and better in most areas. And I really, really enjoyed my time playing this game. So hopefully we will get more in this franchise. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoy this review. I'll be back with more content on the channel very, very soon.